All right, good Tuesday evening out here from Sin City, the 1.5 mile Speedway at Las Vegas out here tonight for race number 4 of 23 of these drivers. Fight for the championship continues out here tonight as we got just over 5 minutes remaining out here in opening practice. Greg Mitchell, Cody Gibson, Andrew Caldwell, currently the top 3 on the board. Greg Mitchell, your points leader coming into tonight. We'll take a look at your standings as they run after last week's race at Nashville. Lee Campbell running out of fuel right at the start-finish line, 200 feet before it, and Cody Gibson picking up the win. But Greg Mitchell, Gary Bowman, Andrew Caldwell, Ed Jurgen, and Brad Holmes, your top 5 points as they come into tonight. Wild cards, can't forget about the wild cards out here. Remember, stage points are so important this season. Stage points do grant you a track into the playoffs. And for these drivers out here tonight, Cody Gibson, Rick Thompson, currently the 2 drivers holding the 2 wildcard spots, which will be granted in about 13 weeks once we finish out our regular season out here on this Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. Race information for this evening. We're going to get right into it here in just a couple of minutes. Stage number 1 will end at the conclusion of lap number 30. Stage 2, 57. And stage 3 is scheduled for 134 laps out here from this mile-and-a-half diamond in the desert. 4 tire changes, 5 sets for these drivers as these drivers begin to make their final laps around here this evening in opening practice. Matt Semple, 4th on the board. 4th on the board for Matt Semple so far. No wins yet this season. Come close a couple of times. Rick Thompson, see Rick Thompson right behind him. Rick had a great run at Nashville last week. Almost got the win. Almost snuck it away from Cody Gibson and Lee Campbell at the end. Other notables up towards the front of the field. Dwayne Young, the highest running rookie in both points and in practice out here tonight. Dwayne Young in that blue and white 48 truck this week. A little bit different looking truck for Dwayne as he comes around here. So we get set to go racing once again here on a Tuesday night. How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Hope everybody is ready for a great race out here this evening. These drivers are ready to do battle. 32 cars strong have made their way out to Las Vegas out here tonight. And with about 2.5 minutes remaining out here in practice, we're going to go ahead, throw a trackside, get the opening ceremonies underway, and we'll be back to bring you the full qualifying. All right, back at it here. Less than 1 minute remaining here at Las Vegas, but real quick, we wanted to grab last week's oh so close, could have been, should have been, very well might have been winner at Nashville. We got Lee Campbell up here. Lee, how you doing tonight? Well, we are getting set to go racing out here tonight. Last week we saw you play some fuel strategy. Do you think fuel strategy is going to be another key player in tonight's race, or what are you thinking for tonight?
Yeah, it could possibly be. We'll see what the cautions look like and go from there, I guess.
Well, this time by, Lee, we're going to kick you back down, let you get ready to go qualifying as you got just about 15 seconds in opening practice, but best of luck out to you here these next 134 laps.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, getting Lee down and out of the way so Lee can begin his qualifying session here. As the checkered flag is going to fly over practice, Greg Mitchell, fastest on the board, Cody Gibson, Andrew Caldwell, the top three. Barney's got the flag waving up in the air and ready to go. All right, we go into our 5-minute, 2-lap qualifying session out here. Drivers going to have 2 attempts at their qualifying session. One driver that I was keeping my eye on in practice was actually Casey Tomlinson. Casey finished 3rd at Daytona. For a while in practice, Casey was actually fastest on the charts. And Casey was, well, let's just say Casey was very excited about that, and for good reason, trying to light some of his championship hopes out here. But first driver that I see out on track, Mr. Ed Jurgen out of Mocha Hill, New Jersey, coming down the backstretch right here into turn number 3, kind of running half-gassed right here for the 92. We take a look at his mile an hour. Now he's going to start to hit the loud pedal and come across the line to begin lap number 1, but a lot of drivers out on track right now, probably about 15-20 cars out on track right now. We're going to try to jump around the best that we possibly can. See Ed running the highest line possible in turns 1 and 2, trying to make this track as wide and as long as he can. For lap number 1, try to keep those RPMs up in that 92 truck come across the start-finish line with a big head of steam to begin his well, what some may say the money lap on lap 2 here for Ed. First time across the stripe for Mr. Jurgen, going to be slowest of the 9 cars that have currently qualified out here so far, but he's still got a little gas in that tank. Matt Semple is currently at the top of the speed charts, followed by Leroy Koblenz, Chris Mackey, Chris Rose in the 07, having a strong qualifying effort out here. Brad Collins, 67, Logan Spencer, Rick Thompson, all drivers moving around up in our qualifying session. Looking for some drivers that have some time to go here, and Eric Anderson is one of them. Working lap number 2 here for Anderson, first time by, 18th on the board for the 43. Let's see if he is able to improve off of his first lap there, but a good solid run down there. Probably see him cut all the way down below the apron there. Yes, you do. Lap number 2, Eric Anderson. Where does that stick him? 15th on the board for Eric. Who else we got out here? Andrew Caldwell is beginning his first lap for the 46. 7th on his first lap. Currently 8th on the board. Pretty good opening lap. That might have been the highest qualifying lap we've seen from anybody out here so far. Lap number 2 for Andrew Caldwell, done in a way. Looks like he's going to hold 9th on the chart for Andrew Caldwell. Dustin Ping slots up into position number 6 at the end of his 2 qualifying laps. We got Corey Sherman, the Shermanator. Last time we were at Las Vegas, he won't let me forget it. Last time we were at Las Vegas, Corey Sherman did take the black and white checkered flag in that race. I believe I was either 2nd or 3rd behind him. I had an option to not play so nice to the Shermanator, but I did. But Corey Sherman, first time on the board, position number 27. Second time going to be good enough for 9th on the board. Got other heavy hitters just now beginning their qualifying efforts out here. Mike Stiverson in that number 20 truck. You want to talk about bad luck to start a season. This driver is the epitome of bad luck to start the season, but beautiful looking Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network truck number 20 Toyota Tundra that Mike has got out here tonight. First lap for Mike was good enough for 25th. Currently about, well, only about 2/10 off of the current pole sitter. See where Stiverson goes. Lap number 2 good enough for 15th on the board. Don't look now, but points leader coming into tonight, Greg Mitchell. Looking to pick up his 2nd win of the season. Winner earlier this season at Homestead Miami Speedway is the driver number 55, Greg Mitchell. Driver out of Austin, Texas. Lap number 2 for Greg Mitchell. Where does he go? 2nd on the board behind Cody Gibson. And I believe all of our drivers have completed their qualifying efforts out here, and we do see the checkered flag come out over the track as we go quiet track here for just a moment, but we are about to get set to go racing. Hey, we're going to check just one thing, make sure we're all set, make sure we're all ready to go, and we'll get you your starting grid here in just a moment. All right, everything looks good on our side, so we are ready to go racing out here tonight from the Roll the Bones 200 race sponsored by Andy Cork. Thank you, Andy, for picking up tonight's race. Race number 4 of the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. It's about time we get set to go racing once again here on a Tuesday night. Cody Gibson picking up where he left off last week at Nashville Super Speedway. Going to be rolling off from the pole, and points leader Greg Mitchell to his outside. Gary Bowman, Rick Thompson, and Ed Jurgen, your top 5. Followed by Brad Collins, series newcomer Dustin Ping, Michael Dunn, Matthew Semple, and Corey Sherman up inside the top 10. Drivers looking outside the top 10 right now. Tanner Marr is going to start 11th on the board. To his outside, he's got Brian Dorsey in that famous unsponsored number 9 truck that Brian's piloting out here tonight. Andrew Caldwell, one of our Championship 4 contenders last season. I believe Andrew will be making a name for himself before this race ends out here tonight. Brad Holmes, Nathan Dufton, Larry Bell, Mike Stuyvesant, Logan Spencer. Drivers towards the back half of the top 20. Lee Campbell, Chris Mackey rounding out the top 20. And 21st and looking in, Leroy Koblenz, driver out of not Adrenaline Racing unless there was a contract dispute. Leroy Koblenz starts 21st on the board. Leroy's got Dwayne Young to his outside. Andy Cork, driver out of Graybeard Racing. David Gainforth, Eric Anderson, a pair of Graybeard drivers starting 24th and 25th. Chris Rose rolls off in 26th, followed by Amanda Sherman out of TNA Motorsports. Casey Tomlinson, after being fast in opening practice, is going to be starting 28th on the board, followed by Jackie Brannon, Fred Thompson, Jared Anderson, and Steven Music is your field of 32 drivers as we get set to go racing out here tonight. This one's going to be a good one. See the field of 32 drivers getting set to go racing out here this evening. Again, stages do conclude lap number 30 and lap number 57. That's what we're looking for. But what these drivers are looking for right now at this very moment, they're looking for Barney the Flagman to give them the green, green, green sign. Tuesday night, let's go racing here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. One lap done, one lap away. Cody Gibson going to lead lap number 1 from tonight's race at Las Vegas. Being trailed right now by Greg Mitchell, Gary Bowman in third. Dustin Ping already up 3 spots from his qualifying effort. Started 7th on the board. Had a good opening first lap for that 81 Chevy Silverado for Ping, but Ping's going to take a look down onto the inside of Gary Bowman and maybe be able to complete the pass for Dustin Ping. Put Gary Ping up Dustin Ping up 4 spots from his qualifying effort. Biggest mover of the night on lap number 1 is the 81, now setting his sights potentially on Greg Mitchell here. Takes a look down onto the inside of the 55. Greg's going to have a little bit of that draft pulling from the outside lane of Cody Gibson. That's going to open up the doors. See some daylight down there. Oh, Dustin's going to get a little tight on the bottom side of the speedway. Ultimately, Greg's going to be able to protect position number 2 and maybe even take a look for the race lead. Working lap number 4 already out here tonight. These drivers know that the stages are short, and stage points mean so much out here. It could mean the difference between making the playoffs and sitting on the sidelines for those 7 races that are going to be starting here. Probably, somewhat, if I had to pull the date out, probably sometime in the middle of December, but great battles up front. Cody Gibson is the race leader right now by about 1 car length, and then you got a hornet's nest of drivers behind him. 2 wide for second place, Greg Mitchell and Dustin Ping. Gary Bowman, Andrew Caldwell, Ed Jurgen poking his nose up there, Matt Semple poking his nose up there. All drivers trying to march their way forward here in stage number 1. Couple of battles happening back towards about the 6th place running position is Rick Thompson. Finished 2nd last week at Nashville, looking to possibly improve on 1 spot better out here tonight, but we got a battle for the race lead. Dustin Ping's going to take a look down to the inside. He's going to be able to clear Cody Gibson. Cody's going to be able to try to take a look down onto the inside. Cody Gibson onto the inside of Dustin Ping on the entry down here to turn 1. Greg Mitchell going to take that opportunity to maybe follow along. But Cody Gibson able to protect the race lead for right now. Dustin did have a sniff of the race lead there real quick. But they continue to battle up here, side-by-side battle, racing for the lead as we cross the stripe to complete lap number 7, begin lap number 8. Great racing all throughout the field. 32 cars strong out here tonight on this Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. Still side by side. It's anybody's race down the backstretch. Dustin Ping trying to put any sort of side draft, put any sort of air on that number 1 truck as he's going to slide up. Oh, that's going to be close. Oh, almost contact for the race lead. That was pretty close there as Dustin Ping slides in front of Cody Gibson, just barely, ever so barely, for Dustin Ping. But now that's going to open up maybe about a half a car length lead for Dustin Ping down the backstretch. Top 3 currently Ping, Gibson, Mitchell, followed by Bowman and Semple, your current top 5. Movers on the night so far, Andy Cork is already up 5 spots. Andy is back in 18th place as we continue to watch this battle for the race lead. Andy Cork up 5 spots. Jared Anderson also up another 5 spots from the race out here this evening so far. Drivers may be going in the opposite way. Larry Bell going the wrong way in this opening stage of 30 laps. Larry Bell down to 24th, down 8 spots from his qualifying position. But it looks like the lead, the battle for the lead may... Well, I was going to say they were going to start to settle out, but I think Cody and Dustin may not be done here just yet. Take a look, see what Gary sees as he puts his nose to the outside of the 81, just barely. Is he able to hold that position going down into turn number 3? Cody's probably got the preferred line here on the exit of turn number 4. He's going to have the momentum and the horsepower to once again take the race lead. Third lead change here in probably the same number of laps. But Greg Mitchell not allowing this battle to get away from him. Gary Bowman not allowing this battle to get away. And neither is Matt Semple. I mean, you've got the entire top 10 underneath a blanket out here just 12 laps in. The leader seems to be kind of protecting the high side there as we see Matt Semple just barely brush the wall. Looks like he'll continue on without much issue. Maybe lose the spot or 2. But Cody Gibson, Dustin Ping, Greg Mitchell still currently your top three. While this battle for the race lead has kind of settled out here, we're going to slide back just a little bit, still keep a close eye on the race lead battle, but more battles for position out here right now. Corey Sherman, Nathan Dufton, and Tanner Marr all battling for about the 11th place spot out here as Nathan tries to protect 12th place from the number 4 of Tanner Marr. But all these drives, there's so much on throttle time here that it's so difficult for to make any sort of passes down on the inside. As this run goes along maybe a little bit, we will see some drivers maybe having to get out of the gas towards the end of the run, and maybe that's where we'll see a little bit of separation up here, but follow along on board here with Lee Campbell in that number 60 truck. We've said it once, we've said it twice, we've said it a few times. Lee Campbell oh so close last week at Nashville, 200 feet short of the start-finish line. Running out of gas before, well, not before Cody Gibson took it away, but Cody Gibson currently the race leader. Dustin Ping currently in second. Greg Mitchell, that's still your top three. You haven't missed anything up front. But the battle back here for the stage points, I mean, these are going to be some of the best battles that we follow along all season long as we begin to think about our playoffs beginning here in just a handful of weeks. Everybody going for stage points. Looks like now Tanner Marr is on the inside of, is that Lee Campbell? Lee Campbell's putting the outside lane to work here in that number 60 truck for Lee. Trying to make a pretty good run up here, get some stage points as Nathan Dufton's going to slap the wall, and he's going to continue on without much damage or issue. But a 3-wide battle back here into turn number 1 between Tanner Marr, Nathan Dufton, and Lee Campbell. Brad Holmes not too far out of this picture. Brad inside of our top 10, but stage points never hurt when it comes to points. Looks like Greg Mitch, first issue of the night as we've got a caution out. Looks like maybe an issue for the 07. I see Chris Rose highlighting up on my timing chart here, so let's take a look real quick and see if we can't find maybe an issue for Chris Rose on lap number 17. See Chris Rose down on the inside. Leroy Koblenz is going to go around. We'll get a better look of that incident and see if we can't find what maybe happened between Chris Rose and Leroy here. See him coming out of turn number 2. We come in a little bit late on that. Let's back it up just a smidge here. All right, this is a little bit better. They come out of turn number 2. Chris Rose on the bottom, Leroy Koblenz on the outside lane. Leroy's getting a run on the 48, and then there's contact between the left rear and the right front of the 4207. Let's try it this way, and, well, let's do this and see if we can't get a better look and see maybe if Leroy comes down or if Chris goes up, or if they just run out of real estate between the two of them. Still watching pit road right now. The only driver on pit road is Brian Dorsey. All the leaders have stayed out through this first yellow flag condition out here tonight. Yeah, really difficult to say for the 07 and 42, as we've got our first caution flag of the night. But anyway you slice that, contact between the 42 and the 07. Let's take a look here real quick at Leroy, see what Leroy may be looking at on pit road here. See a little bit of damage on his right rear quarter panel down there of Leroy. I believe will be able to get that damage fixed and keep it moving in the right direction there for Leroy. Leroy Koblenz makes his way off of pit road, as well as does Brian Dorsey, as well does Chris Rose. All drivers looking to possibly stay on the lead lap down here. We're going to wait for that to kind of cycle around. Looks like they are going to get mission accomplished and perhaps stay on the lead lap for all these drivers. But Cody Gibson and Greg Mitchell are going to be bringing us to our first restart. Going to be a short little 10-lap shootout, 9-lap shootout to our stage ending at the conclusion of lap number 30 out here this evening. And stage points on the line, 1st through 10th place. Right now, 10th place being held by Brad Collins and Michael Dunn in 9th place. But Corey Sherman, Lee Campbell, Nathan Dufton, Tanner Marr, that's going to be the battle to watch back there between, like, say, 11th through 12th or 13th or 14th. Those are going to be the drivers trying to move forward. Again, only drivers that came down on pit road that time: Casey Tomlinson, Brian Dorsey, Chris Rose, Fred Thompson, and Leroy Koblenz. So all of your front runners, all of the race leaders did elect to stay out, so they are all on about 20-lap old tires for the first caution of the night. And we are about set to go racing. Once again, Barney's about to send them on their way. Into the restart zone, Cody Gibson goes, and Greg Mitchell follows him. Cody Gibson got to a pretty good restart. He's going to open up to about a 2, maybe a 3 truck length lead as they enter down into turn number 1. Greg Mitchell still up on the outside lane. To his inside, he's got Dustin Ping. As that settles out, Gary Bowman thinks about taking a look. Gary's got a pretty good run coming up on the outside lane of the Speedway. See the moves coming down the backstretch here. Bowman to the inside of the 81 of Ping as they come down into 3. Gary's going to try to carry that momentum, and it's going to get close on the exit of 4. Between these two drivers, they're going to stay side by side at the start-finish line. Give us lap number 23 in just a lap out here, as we've got just 7.5 laps remaining in this stage. Remember, points pay out in this mess of a battle that we're currently watching back here. Brad Collins currently holding up inside the top 10 in the stage running order right now. Corey Sherman trying to take some stage points away. So is Lee Campbell. So is Tanner Marr. Brad Holmes is also trying to get up there. But Cody Gibson, Greg Mitchell, they're just trying to hang on and finish out this stage over the next 7 laps. But Corey Sherman has to make something happen here for the number 3 machine. Corey had a post-race penalty applied at the end of last week's race, and that did cost him some valuable points. Comes in, I want to say Corey comes in about 17th on the standings. We only show the top 10 on the pre-race here, but good run on the front stretch here as Corey's going to get into the outside wall just a little bit on the entry to turn 1. Carry on, no harm, no foul, but that's going to open up the door now for Lee Campbell. Here comes Lee Campbell as he pokes to the outside of the number 3 machine, and Campbell is on his way to a possible stage point run here in just about 5 laps. Corey Sherman still trying to protect the bottom side down here. There are no points for 11th. There are no points for 12th. There are no points for 13th at the end of these 30 laps. So one of these drivers is going to have to figure out who's going to be the first one to try to make a run on Brad Collins. Lee Campbell's going to set himself apart as the lead driver here to make a charge for stage points. As Lee Campbell, he's able to pull away by about 2 truck lengths, and Lee's got a side-by-side battle happening right in front of him between the 62 and the 32, right in front of driver number 60 here. Lee's got a nose full of cars in front of him here. He's going to take a look to the outside of the 67 and try to make that pass same way he made the pass on Corey Sherman a lap ago. Looks like he's going to be able to make that spot and now potentially even make a run on 9th place of Michael Dunn. But Corey Sherman says, hey, I see that open up here. And Corey Sherman's got a great run on the exit turn number 2. Where does Corey go? Does he take a look down to the inside? He does. 3 wide, 4 stage points into turn number 3 with just 3 laps remaining. In our opening stage out here, drivers getting into the wall. Mike Stuyvesant avoiding some trouble back there. Rick Thompson gonna in line to get some stage points for the driver number 76. Again, finished second last week at Nashville. So, I mean, we've got a great battle going on back here for some stage points. The 67 of Brad Collins cutting off as much air to the number 3 as the 62 of Michael Dunn's going to go around on the front stretch. If we get a caution, we do get a caution. Dunn's going to come back up across the racetrack. Let's take a look. We will, so that is going to be our stage. Stage is ended there. So that means Cody Gibson wins the stage. Greg Mitchell finishes second. Gary Bowman finishes third. Tentatively, Ed Yergin, Lee Campbell, and Brad Collins will be the final stage points of stage number 1. Let's take another look here. See if we can't see exactly what happened. So on board here with the 32. We're going to take a look and see if we can't get on board here with Corey Sherman. On the exit of turn 4, contact again between the right front, left rear, very similar to what we saw between Chris Rose and Leroy Koblenz about 15 laps ago. But this time by, we do expect to see all the race leaders on pit road. Come down for tires, come down for fuel, come down for a breath. The battles that we saw between, well, everywhere. I mean, from Cody Gibson, Greg Mitchell, Dustin Payne, Gary Bowman, all those drivers up early in stage number 1 for the race lead. And then what a battle we had for stage points at the end of that little run there. But pit road is open this time. Looks like everybody is going to be making their way down as expected. And we were going to see our first round of yellow flag pit stops tonight. Everybody making their way out of pit road for tonight's first round of yellow flag pit stops to conclude lap number 30. And as stage 1 concludes, my co-host, as usual, joins me up in the booth. Arie Heinzman, how are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. How's it going, Tom? How's this race been so far?
It's been a lot of fun to watch. We've seen battles for first, we've seen battles for 10th, but a lot of battles all over the Speedway so far.
That's what you like to see. I'm noticing that as I pop in here, Cody Gibson, driver of the 1, keeping that momentum going. He is on a streak, and man, I've not seen something like that in a while, Tom.
Yeah, Cody Gibson made his first start of the season, missed the first 2 races of our new season. Came out to Nashville last week in big fashion with the black and white checkered flag, but Greg Mitchell having a solid first 3 races and, you know, working on a solid 4th race to maintain his points lead as well.
I'm excited to see how this race shapes up going into stage number 2 right here. I was able to watch a little bit of 1, and it seems like during the first little bit of a run is really when you can get those passes done. But, you know, a lot of it is going to come down to who is leading the run once you get 7, 8, 9, 10 laps into the run, because I feel like they have such such an advantage out there in the clean air at a track like this.
Well, as we get set to go racing one more time down here, we are going to begin to make our way underneath the guidance of Barney the Flagman to begin stage number 2. Stage number 2, we're running to lap 57. If we see a caution on or at number 52, that will be our stage ending caution. So 52 or 57 is what these drivers are looking at, but pace car down and away, hard left-hand turn down onto pit road.
Green flag is out. Cody Gibson gonna smash on the loud pedal and lead us away. Gary Bowman from third with a fantastic restart. He's gonna pull even with Greg Mitchell going into turn 1.
Every restart we've seen out here tonight, Arie, we've seen the leader jump out to about a truck and maybe a truck, maybe 2 truck length lead, but we've never been able to see the leader kind of break away, as now Gary Bowman is able to steal a spot on this restart and find himself up into the second place. But very tight racing. I think stage number 3 may be where you see some separation, some tire degradation, and some tire fall off. But these short little 25-30 lap runs, give it everything you got.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, and it seems like on these restarts coming out of turn 2 and down the back stretch, if you're the second car in line, it seems like you have such an advantage, even compared to being all the way up at speed here with that draft. And if you're in a good position, like if we get down to a short restart towards the end of the race, and you can find yourself as that second car in line going up through the gears, I think it'll be real interesting to see how that would play out, because you carry a lot of speed on the leader.
See 2 and 3 and maybe even 4 wide battles happening back here. We're going to keep a close eye on the race lead, but right now switching back to the battle for about 8th place right now. They're running about 185, 190 mile an hour pace laps down here. 2x2x2 mixed with a 2x3.
That they are, and Corey Sherman not afraid to mix it up even after being a part of that most recent caution right here in the middle of the Hornet's Nest. And Hornet's Nest might even be an understatement, as we're nearly 4 wide. This big old gaggle of cars trying to figure it out, led by Lee Campbell, and Corey Sherman down on the apron. Looks like they're all going to get it sorted out.
Yeah, looking at the gearbox, the rear view of Brad Holmes right now, and if I see this in my mirror, it's kind of settled down, believe it or not. If you would call this settled down, it has settled down from the past lap down here, but you don't like to see this in your mirror because you know they're coming for you.
Yeah, definitely don't want to see that in the mirror. And just to edit these guys, I'm quite fascinated by this breakaway of cars at the front of the field, Tom. We've got about 7 trucks, I'm counting, who are all in just this really tight pack all the way at the front. The leader has not gotten away, but these 7 certainly have gotten away from the rest of them, and that 2-3 wide battle certainly helped. But this is really fascinating.
Well, it makes you think that maybe there was an issue back here that perhaps we missed under green flag conditions that maybe caused that separation out there, because you do have, like you were saying, you do have about a second or maybe a little bit more difference between this first pack of 7 cars out here being led by Cody Gibson and now Gary Bowman trying to take a look for the race lead. Greg Mitchell's going to follow in line behind the number 8 Toyota Tundra and try to push him, but makes you think maybe there was an issue for that second pack, kind of broke it up a little bit.
There very well could have been, and while Gary Bowman in the 8 truck looks to the inside, tries to get the run on Cody Gibson, Gibson's going to be locked into that high line, which is the preferred line for attacking and defending around a track like Vegas. We even see the bright white 16 of Matt Semple creeping into the picture. He's going to have an opportunity to take over second place and chase down that Flamin' Hot Cheetos truck.
On board with Andrew Caldwell right now. I don't think there's a quieter driver in the field that you need to be more concerned about on a weekly basis than that 46 truck. Every week, Arie, we're talking about that 46 one way or the other.
Yeah, we absolutely are, and I think Andrew Caldwell is out this season for blood, is a renewed driver behind the wheel, and it's only a matter of time. I think the day we see Caldwell break that winless streak and get it done, I think the whole league will be celebrating. But you got one thing you got one thing accurate for sure, and it's how quiet he is behind the wheel, on track, off track. He's very, very reserved, keeps to himself, just quietly chips away at it. And every single week, doesn't matter what kind of track we're at, you can count on that 46 truck being up towards the front.
Well, Cody Gibson continues to lead the way out here. Gary Bowman, who was just looking for the race lead just a few minutes ago, has now found his way down to 5th place. You get in the wrong line here, well, and you're going to be going backwards.
Going backwards indeed, as we see Dustin Ping pulling up to the back end of this pack of cars up towards the front. The 81 truck trying to get back up towards the front after starting off this race pretty strong. Going to have to go through a couple of pretty fast drivers as of late, and Rick Thompson and Ed Jurgen, who are holding on to some really good runs early this race. Looks like Matt Semple trying to take a peek to the outside. Can't quite get there this time.
I tell you what, driver that's kind of broken away, kind of running in his own little lane right now is the driver of the number 48 truck. Biggest mover of the night so far, up 13 spots, is the driver of the number 48, Dwayne Young. He's trying to chase down this little pack in front of him, but he's got a hornet's nest of cars coming not too far behind him, so it's a matter of I want to get there before they get to me. But Dwayne Young having a solid opening night, up 13 spots, biggest mover.
Up 13 spots sitting here on lap 43. Great way to be starting off this race, making up for a lackluster qualifying position for driver 48. Looks like these leaders are starting to figure it out, get it single file line kind of going. It's getting to the point in the run where these tires we're starting to see what everyone's got. You know, how has everyone managed the short run? How have these drivers put themselves in a position to carry through as we approach the end of stage 2 a little bit later on?
Greg Mitchell's going to take a look down onto the inside of Andrew Caldwell's. We've got another yellow flag out over the speedway working lap number 44. Oh, and I do believe Casey Tomlinson may be involved, but we're going to let this cycle around and try to get caught up here and see maybe what Mr. Tomlinson's fate is out here this evening. All right, following Casey, let's find Casey. There is Casey in that very multicolored truck, and Brian Dorsey down onto his inside, and going to be a little bit of contact again. Left rear, right front. Oh, and a hard hit down into the safer barriers for Casey.
That it was, and at least on that first single time, it looked to me like the 52 had just kind of slid down the track coming off of the corner just a little bit. It definitely looked like one of those both cars kind of coming into each other to some degree, but real hard hit for Casey, real unfortunate. Though a hit as square on the side as that maybe not, I don't know, that right front fender took a beating, but it might still be drivable, might be repairable after that. It wasn't a significant front or rear end collision.
Well, take a look at Casey Tomlinson. Right here, right now, what does Casey see? On his truck, you see his right front fender pushed in a little bit. But all the leaders have stayed out on pit road out here tonight. Again, they do have 4 tire changes to use throughout the course of tonight's event as they see fit. They've already used 1 on that stage 1 caution ending on lap number 30. I would imagine that most of them are going to try to go to the end of stage number 2 here, because that's only going to give you 2 sets left in the final stage.
Yeah, tire management is a big deal. We even saw it the last time we were here at Las Vegas, Tom. The race was decided by a couple of drivers having an extra set of tires at the end of the race. So we've seen it before at this particular track. You've got to keep an eye on your sets. You've got to manage that well as you go throughout the race. Drivers are going to get ready to double file back up. Lights are out on the pace car, and it's going to be 1 lap to green. Restarting on the beginning of lap number 48. Cody Gibson going to hold on to the inside line, and Matt Semple going to be restarting on the outside on row 1. Andrew Caldwell, Greg Mitchell in row 2, looking for an opportunity going down into turn 1 on this restart.
Ace car brings them through turns 1 and 2. Again, field still being led by Cody Gibson. Matt Semple, the new name, up towards the front of the field. Andrew Caldwell running in third. Greg Mitchell and Gary Bowman. Feel like the top 5 is kind of jostled around a lot out here tonight, but one thing has been consistent, and that has been Cody Gibson up towards the front.
It has been, and he has been consistent. This is now the third race in a row in which he's run that he has looked to have race-winning speed, and so we'll see what anyone can do with driver number 1, Cody Gibson, but he is hitting the ground running this season, and somebody's going to have to get up there and stop him, because if they let Cody Gibson show up and get the first 2 races he participates in, I got a bad feeling for this season.
Well, waiting on Barney the Flagman, and he is going to send them on their way. Cody Gibson once again brings them down into turn 1 here, side by side. Cody Gibson gets a good restart over second place. Andrew Caldwell now trying to move into second place, and he's going to second place with that number 46 Toyota Tundra. Over now, Greg Mitchell. Gary Bowman loses a couple of spots on this restart.
That he does, and we've got a heavy battle for P2. Greg Mitchell to the inside of Andrew Caldwell. Can he make the pass? Can he clear? Not quite. Caldwell going to have the help of the 16. Matt Semple down the front stretch as we approach turn 1. Everyone behind Cody Gibson in a gaggle.
Well, all these drivers know, Arie, that we are rapidly approaching the window where if we get a caution, that would be the stage, and that would be the stage-ending caution. So a lot of these drivers with stage points on their mind, they say, I gotta go. We don't have a whole lot more time. I think I've got 8 more laps in this stage, but it could just be 2.
It very well could, and we're seeing that. The 3-wide racing, multiple rows deep. These drivers know the importance of stage points, especially this season, and especially with the wild card, as we see a little bit of contact between the 00 and the 76. All fair, and everyone keeps it going. But wow, this is some intense beating and banging.
Brad Holmes, the meat in the middle of that 48 and 76 sandwich, but up front, Cody Gibson still hanging on to the race lead. We're looking at the battle for, I mean, it could be the battle for 5th, it could be the battle for 15th. You're looking at the battle right now for stage points. Brad Holmes runs in 9th alongside Rick Thompson, last driver to get stage points out here tonight. Again, we'll take a look at the wild card here real quick as we rapidly approach the end of this stage out here. All these drivers looking to get wild cards points. Rick Thompson, the first driver that really needs them, the first driver that's on this list. So Rick trying to make anything happen. He's going to make contact with Brad Holmes there.
Beating and banging all the way down the front stretch. This has been multiple laps in a run on. Oh, the 00 gonna get hit by the 77. Keeps it straight up into the wall. No caution. But man, those two had been tangling for quite a while leading up to that incident.
They certainly were. And we are going to try to get a better look from Rick Thompson here. We may need to try to slide this back just a little bit. Rick knows quickly. All right, there we go. Looks like Brad comes down maybe just a half of a lane. Rick was there and held his line, but now Brad Holmes back in 20th, but still carrying on. No real damage on the side of that 00, but just because that happened, this battle has not settled down at all.
No, it hasn't. These guys are ready for some stage points. These guys are going all out for it. I really love the fact that stage points have been elevated to such importance this season. Gives us these really intense battles, especially towards the back half of the top 10. Is We see the Ford truck of Tanner Marr just cruising out ahead of these guys, leaving them in the dust, trying to solidify some stage points and leaving them all to scrap for the last remaining point. We'll see if Rick Thompson can do anything with the 17 truck here.
Well, back up front here, we got a battle brewing for the race lead. Greg Mitchell says, I don't want to finish behind Cody Gibson for the second week in a row. Greg Mitchell has been putting the pressure on the back bumper of that number 1 5 Kings Motorsports Cheetos truck of Gibson all night long. And he's got just 3 more laps to try to make a run out, again, stage ending at the end of lap number 57 or our next caution flag.
That's right, and if there's one driver who can go up there and take this race out of the hands of Cody Gibson in the number 1, I think it would be Greg Mitchell in the 55. He's there, he's got him right where he wants him. It's a couple laps to go, no pressure from behind. What can Greg Mitchell do despite being at a dirty air disadvantage on a track like this where it's oh so important?
Well, halfway down the backstretch right here, you see the gap that is closed between Cody Gibson and Greg Mitchell. Take a look at the last lap times here. We're going to leave this up for a lap or two. 31:69 for Cody Gibson. 31:70. We're going to wait for him to restack across the line. 31:7, 31:8 for Gibson and Mitchell. So some of that may just be, you know, as much as the draft is going to help you here, Arie, the dirty air kind of counteracts the effects of the benefit.
It certainly does. You make up on the straightaways and you kind of lose it in the corners. And by the end of it, it didn't really do anything for you after all. And with how high speed these corners are and how particular these trucks are with what lane you're running and how you're running it, it's so difficult to kind of play that game and manage it.
Stage 2 done and away. And Cody Gibson sweeps the stages out here for tonight's event. Chris Mackey is the final driver to receive stage points in front of the 17. You got the 4 of Tanner Marr, Dwayne Young, Dustin Ping, Ed Jurgen, and Matt Semple, 5th through 10th at the end of stage 2.
Gary Bowman in 4th, Andrew Caldwell taking home 3rd place stage points, Greg Mitchell coming up oh so close, couldn't quite get the move done, and of course Cody Gibson sweeps your stages here in Las Vegas.
Well, Arie, what do you say? We're going to let some yellow flag pit stops happen out here. 2 stages done, 2 stages away. That's been a fun first 60 laps. I got news for you. We're not even halfway in tonight's race.
That's what I like to hear.
We're going to step away for just a minute, get some pit stops done, get this field restacked, repacked, and we'll get stage 3 underway here in just a few minutes. right, back at it. Once again, field has made their way on and off pit road for the exit for the end of stage number 2, but one thing stays the same. Cody Gibson still the race leader over second place Greg Mitchell, Andrew Caldwell, Gary Bowman, and Ed Jurgen. Your top 5 as we get set to go racing for stage number 3. Arie? So I heard from these drivers that they can go about 30 to 35 laps on fuel out here this evening. So, do the math for me. Is this going to be a, we got any possibility of a fuel game at the end here?
30 to 35 laps on fuel. That put us at about, if we're going to say it's from 60, call it 90 to 95, and even then you're going to have about 40. So we might see some fuel games. You'd have to stretch a little bit on both stints, assuming this goes green, if you want to try and make it all the way. But I think it's also in a position where we'll very well see a handful of drivers who are opting to just go and take the 2-stop strategy. They don't want to spend too much time saving, so they're just going to push all out, make the 2 pit stops, and try and make up as much time as they can in the meanwhile as we get ready for that pace car to pull off. Getting ready to go into potentially some long green flag runs, Tom. I have got my eyes on driver of the number 4 back there, Tanner Marr, restarting in the top 10. He's shown some strength on the long runs this season, so I'll be keeping my eye to see if he closes up.
Oh, green, green, green. We are back at it. Cody Gibson once again brings it down to the start-finish line to begin stage number 3, working lap number 62, being chased by Greg Mitchell, Andrew Caldwell, Gary Bowman, and then a whole host of cars behind those drivers. But top 2 have settled out into a single file run, and then we're side by side for third between Caldwell and Bowman. But we got some 3 wide battles happening. Maybe back a little bit more towards the back of the field. Looks like maybe Corey Sherman involved in some 3 wide battles.
Man, if I had $1 for every time I heard Corey Sherman involved in 3 wide battles, I'd have quite a bit of money. And one thing I've noticed up front is that driver number 8, Gary Bowman, getting around the 46 of Caldwell, putting him in a good position to have the leaders in sight. With a driver like Gary, who's known for the tire savings and long runs, being ahead of as many people as possible on the short run is going to play huge dividends a little bit later on. And as we're watching this battle a little bit further back, just outside of the top 10, it looks like it's coming to the end of the stage, Tom. Like, they're still battling like their stage points up for grabs.
Well, I think you're going to probably see this here for the first little bit. You're going to need some tire fall off. If you're ever going to make a pass on the bottom, the restart is when you're going to make that happen. But I mean, right now we see Michael Dunn battling Nathan Dufton, battle for 11th place right now. Lee Campbell having another solid run after a great run in Nashville. A little bit further back, we've got Chris Rose leading a pack of about 8 or 9 or 10 trucks behind the 07. So anywhere you look out here tonight, Arie, you got battles on track for position.
You absolutely do, and that is one of the great things about mile-and-a-half tracks, but particularly Las Vegas and how it's laid out is you're usually going to get a lot of these battles all throughout the field, all throughout the pack, and gives you a lot to watch, a lot to keep up with, and sometimes more than you can even handle. As we watch Steven Music just ahead of the 07 of Chris Rose. Amanda Sherman in the War Wagon getting up into this picture as well, trying to move up positions after the first 2 stages. Amanda is definitely the type to use the first 2 stages of a race to get comfortable behind the wheel and then go time in stage 3 as we see her make the move on Chris Rose.
Might be a battle for the race lead up here. Cody Gibson, Greg Mitchell. Cody Gibson once again under fire from Greg Mitchell. Matt Semple trying to follow through. It's going to be interesting to see here what Matt Semple does. I think Matt could play a very determining role in which lane moves forward here. Does he push Greg Mitchell? Does he push Cody Gibson? Or does he try to find some real estate and take it 3 wide one way or the other? That's the question that Matt Semple needs to answer himself right now. Because if they stay side by side like this, that's going to open up the door here in another half a lap for the 16.
It absolutely will, and they're side by side behind the 16 as well. So Matt Semple's got an interesting choice ahead of him as we see Greg Mitchell nearly clear of the 1, can't quite do it. Gibson going to pull himself back into the side draft, and we can see Matt Semple just debating who he wants to help, who he wants to push, and maybe even opting to lift off the gas a little and just not get involved. But don't look now. Here comes the 81 of Dustin Ping with a head full of momentum. gonna get to the side of the 16, and now we're 2 by 2.
If I'm Matt Semple right there, Arie, I would have liked to have made my mind up a little bit faster than what Matt did there. Pick a lane, stick with it, and go, because now you're side by side with Dustin Ping, and you never want to see Dustin Ping around you, because you know that 81 truck is fast and knows how to point that 81 truck up towards the front. So kind of a little bit of a box that Matt has pointed himself into here on lap number 69 of 134. But now his options are a little bit more limited. Can't make a left-hand turn because he got the 55 on the inside.
Does, and I do like the choice that he eventually came to, staying in that outside line. That's the one that moves, and if you get stuck on the bottom, it's real easy to get freight trained, and Greg Mitchell is going to be at risk of that now, with that high side having 3 cars nose to tail. No room for Greg Mitchell. He's going to have to use up those tires a little harder on the bottom, take a tighter way around the track, and he doesn't have any drafting help down the straightaway. He's probably going to lose 2 positions out of this, and I like what you said with, wishing Matt Semple had made his choice a little quicker. I think it would have been beneficial for him, but it seems like it's kind of worked out, and he's going to have an opportunity to try and take over second place and chase down race leader Cody Gibson.
Well, some of that may be that Cody Gibson is kind of playing both lines up here right now. In the corners, he's protecting the outside lane. In the straightaways, you'll see Cody Gibson maybe duck down a little bit onto the inside lane. Of course, he doesn't do it this time as we're following him here, but giving a little bit of drafting help, a little bit of air to both lanes, trying to keep those lanes side by side behind him in his rearview mirror. That's a tactic that I've used many times when you try to play the lines and you try to, it's better that they're racing side by side behind you than with you.
That is correct. I like playing both of the lines. If you're the leader and you're under this much pressure, you've got to do everything you can to keep these guys racing themselves so that they don't get a chance to race you. Cody Gibson playing that very well, and we see Matt Semple all over the back bumper of that Hot Cheetos truck, and Dustin Ping is not afraid to move around on track, find different lines, do whatever he's got to do to get his nose in some clean air. So we'll see what Dustin Ping can do, but historically, there's been a big question mark with that 81 truck around long run speed, specifically holding on to those tires. We'll see if Dustin's got something in his pocket here and can stay up here with these guys as this run persists.
And you can see the momentum that Cody Gibson pulls on the exit of turn number 2 as he pulls away even just a little bit. That's all you need when the field is this close and this competitive. You see him able to get back in the gas, pull away, because he doesn't have anybody to his inside, doesn't have anybody to his outside, able to use 100% of his throttle here. Arie, something that I was going to message you and tell you this, but I guess we'll learn it together here on air. So when we look at the little speed monitor down here for Cody Gibson right now, you see him on the gas, on the gas, on the gas. Anytime that this little 166, 167, 169 is green, that is throttle time. That's something I learned earlier today. We're going to try to go back and see if we can't find, maybe see if like Gary Bowman is getting out of the gas a little bit. It's going to turn gray or white when the driver is out of the gas. So that just tells me the amount of throttle time that they have out here is a lot. There's not a whole lot of off throttle time here.
No, and that is extremely stressful on these tires, and that makes tire saving at a track like this. We see the 81 of Dustin Ping dive down on a pit road a little unexpectedly. It looks like the 92 of Ed Jurgen wasn't quite ready for it, but everyone keeps it going. But as I was saying, it's really stressful on the tires. The more you're on the throttle, the more you're sliding them, the more speed you're carrying, the more G's you're putting into them, and it just gives you a bigger skill gap in terms of how you manage it.
This is a little bit early here for Dustin Ping. We're currently working lap number 76, 77. So this tells me that maybe Dustin's trying to 2-stop this. I guess everybody would be a 2-stop already. Could he be doing a 3?
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the timing of when Dustin Ping came down right here. If I was going for a 2-stop strategy, I think I would have waited until probably around lap 85. And maybe, stretch it out a little more evenly, but who knows? Maybe Dustin Ping knows something that we don't, and maybe he's on a slightly different strategy from earlier occurrences in stage 1 and 2.
Well, the difficulty to that, Arie, is that these drivers only have 4 tire changes, right? So they use the set on stage 1, they use the set on stage 2. Dustin just used the set on just now. He has to come down pit road at least one more time. That's his 4 tire changes. If we get a late race restart, the 81 is going to be out of tires.
He absolutely will, and I tell you what, Tom, nobody knows that feeling more than me. Last time we were here at Las Vegas, I was the driver who was out of tires on that last restart, and didn't go very well for me. So Dustin's gonna have to hope for no late race yellows. I think the best thing at this point for the 81's race, especially with the strategy so different from everyone else, is that this race runs green until the end, uninterrupted, not a single caution. I think that's going to be the best case scenario for Dustin. We'll see if it plays out that way or not. But as we turn our attention back here in the back of the field, we've got the 101 of Dave Gainforth, who is holding on just ahead of Leroy Koblenz and the 42 new teammates as of this season, both new members of Graybeard Racing, and scrapping it out.
Yeah, Leroy Koblenz involved in an incident on or around lap number 17. Leroy Koblenz did go for a ride. Looks like he got that damage fixed, and currently is made his way back up to the 24th running position, running right behind the GBR teammate of David Gainforth. But solid opening to the season for Graybeard Racing. You see 3 of them right in a row there, as Andy Cork is right in front of the 101. But I think this group together works really well, and when they're strong, you better watch out, because they will find their way to the front. As Andy gets into the wall there a little bit, looks like he's gonna let Dave go, but these guys do work together very well. Oh, as Andy almost
they work together, they wreck together equally as well. But no, this is a perfect group of 4 if you're going to piece together a team in Cyber, in terms of drivers who just mesh really well together and would go on a team really well together. So Graybeard's got a good thing going this season. And while that was going on, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle for second place. At one point, these 3 drivers were 3 wide going into turn 1 and 2 for a moment. It's now settled out a little bit with Greg Mitchell in second, Matt Semple in third, and Gary Bowman in fourth. But that 8 truck is fiery and fierce from what I've noticed watching so far in this stage 3 run. Gary is bound and determined, and we know he's good on his tires. So with that level of aggression, I like what I'm seeing out of Mr. Bowman.
So let's keep an eye on here real quick. Let's not lose sight of what Dustin was doing. Currently, Dustin Ping came down on pit road, lap number 75, 76, currently running back in 29th. First car 1 lap down. Where is Dustin Ping in relation to the lead?
That is a great question.
So you see Dustin Ping, the black dot entering turn number 3, the number 81, Cody Gibson, the yellow dot, the number 1, almost at the start-finish line. Dustin Ping, last time by, was a 31.68. Last time by for Cody Gibson was a 32.09. So about 4/10, 5/10, maybe 6/10 of a second better for Dustin Ping. Dustin now needs one of 2 things to happen. He either needs to catch Cody Gibson on speed before Cody Gibson comes onto pit road, or he needs to just get up there and wait for him to come down on pit road and hope that he runs as many laps as he possibly can in the race lead before coming on pit road to try to make this strategy work. I don't really understand the strategy, Arie, but there's a reason that we're sitting over here and not in there.
That's right, and for all we know, something could have forced Dustin's hand to come down and hit unexpected. But the best thing that could happen for Dustin is these leaders taking the complete opposite exaggerated strategies. We see the 55 of Greg Mitchell pulling down. This would be more akin to the scheduled stops around the mid-80s here. And so I think we're going to start to see a lot of the race leaders pull down, reacting to second place, pulling down on pit road.
Other drivers on pit road, Mike Stiverson pits on pit road. Brian Dorsey is going to come down. So your top 25 drivers have yet to make a green flag pit stop out here tonight. Let's take a look on board here. Cody Gibson going to stay out on track. Another lap. Looks like Ed Jurgen coming on pit road, as well as is that Gary in front of him. And Ed goes sideways on the entry to turn to the pit road.
That is unfortunate for Ed, who was running up in the top 5, showing some really good speed. It's not no damage from that, but he is going to lose a handful of seconds and going to have his work cut out for him to make up that lost time through the rest of stage 3 right here.
You see him coming down. He is behind Gary Bowman. Teammates out of lounge racing, locks up the front tires there. Doesn't get any damage, but the damage that he does incur is time lost on pit road as Cody Gibson stays out on track. Currently now your top 19 drivers have not yet pitted. Andrew Caldwell, Nathan Dufton, Ed Jurgen, Gary Bowman, Greg Mitchell, those drivers are your race leaders that have already come down pit road. Let's go on board here one more time with Cody Gibson's, and he is not coming this time either. Let's jump back here, Matt Semple. Let's jump back one more with Tanner Mars. It looks like the top 3 are staying out for at least one more lap.
Staying out they are, and one thing we see, one person we see coming into frame, 81 at Dustin Ping. As it stands, Dustin Ping is going to cycle out as the race leader. Now, long term, that won't last. His tires are a lot older than those who just came down on pit road. But this is going to put Dustin Ping in a little window where everyone will have pit, and he might be first or second place. And in that case, on the weird strategy he's given, that might benefit him if he gets a caution in that little window of time. So Dustin Ping's going to have an opportunity here.
Cody Gibson stays out, Semple stays out, Tanner Mars stays out, your entire top 10 stays out, still 19 cars yet to pit. We expect them to be able to go anywhere between lap 93 and lap 95, so they will be coming onto pit road here before long. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm kind of confused with what race leader Cody Gibson is doing right here. I get it if he's trying to stretch it and make it a one-stop. That's simple enough to understand. He's going to go for that strategy. If he's still planning on a two-stop, I don't like waiting this long and putting yourself in the position to have to go and pass a driver like Greg Mitchell, who's going to jump you on the undercut. Even if you have the better tires, it's kind of a tall task at a track like this. So I'm left to assume that those who are still out on track right now, they are determined to make that one-stop strategy work, and it could very well. We'll just have to keep a close eye on it.
I mean, we almost saw it work last week. Lee Campbell ran an extra probably about 6 laps than what we thought Lee could possibly run. So we'll see if it works out here tonight. I do think if it's going to work for Cody here, I do think Cody's going to need to run until at minimum lap 98, lap 99, and even that is probably on the lower end of the threshold. So we'll see.
We will see indeed. We got a couple drivers that are opting to come down onto pit road. The 48 of Dwayne Young, notably coming over the radio. We got Chris Rose and Steven Music all on pit road this time by. So a couple more drivers dropping down and opting for the two-stop strategy, not liking what they see out of the fuel. And out of those drivers who are remaining on track, going to be interesting to who continues to stretch it. I think we got the 16 of Matt Semple from second place. Looking at coming in, Logan Spencer, Brad Holmes. We got a lot of drivers starting to come down at this point around the lap 92, 93 mark. And I was gonna get to my point here, Tom, that of the drivers who are staying out, fuel-saving drivers like Tanner Marr, like Lee Campbell, these are drivers who we've seen do this strategy and be keen on pulling this strategy. So I wouldn't be surprised if those are a couple of names that we see going for the one-stop.
Well, let's take a look one more time at Cody Gibson, see if Cody is coming on pit road this time. And yes, Cody Gibson comes on pit road this time earlier than expected for the one stop here in stage 3.
That it is, and it makes me it's a confounding decision. I don't even know the words for it, Tom, at this point. With Cody Gibson coming down now, he will have a big tire advantage over those who are going to undercut him, but if he's got to make a second pit stop to make it to the end, even from here, I don't like it. I don't like putting yourself that far back in track position. It looks like a new race leader, Tanner Marr, is looking to come down this time by on lap 95.
Well, let's play this game here, Arie, real quick. Cody Gibson just comes down on pit road, right? Maybe trying to run as long as he possibly can there, right? And if we do get a quick caution, say on lap 110, maybe don't come down at that time, because that would be his last set of tires, and hope for a caution to come out around 120 to 125. Hitting this late allows him that freedom and that liberty to consider that as an option. Would it be a race-winning strategy at the surface level on paper? Probably not, but if everything falls his way, it could be the move.
I see what you're saying, Tom, and I actually like the way you're thinking, especially with how the last race at Las Vegas went, where we did get that late yellow. So putting himself in a good position, but right now, Cody Gibson is looking at a reality of needing to make it around quite a few drivers to get back up towards the front.
Look at this
He's
mess
currently
back
down
here.
at 24th position.
Yeah, look at this mess that we got going on behind. Is that Chris Mackey somewhere up in the mix there? Corey Sherman's going to come on the pit road. Hot is the 3 machine, but Corey's going to hopefully get it slowed down in time.
Yep, and that'll be the last 3 of this pit cycle who have not yet pitted. And I talked about it before. I thought Dustin Ping might have cycled out front, but this lasted just long enough for Greg Mitchell to be getting around the 81 of Dustin Ping. And now Ping finds himself in second, Gary Bowman third, Andrew Caldwell fourth, and Nathan Dufton, Tom, all the way up to P5 in the 47.
So now everybody has pitted, so that everybody from Greg Mitchell here and the other top 10, they all pitted on either lap 85 or 93. Dustin Ping, the one driver that I did not highlight there, pitted on lap number 75, so he's got either 10 or 11 lap older tires or more for Dustin Ping. Dustin Ping, this is the window of opportunity that Dustin needs something to happen in, probably in the next 3 to 4 laps before Gary Bowman, Andrew Caldwell, Nathan Dufton, Mike Stuyvesant, all those drivers catch the 81. The window is closing for the 81.
It absolutely is. It's got to come quick. And one thing I want to bring our attention to here, Tom, is that former race leader Cody Gibson, winner of stages 1 and 2. I'm looking at the pit stop times, and Cody Gibson's pit lane time was 10 seconds longer than the average pit lane time. Cody Gibson had some issues on pit road, and that is only going to confound the issues of being undercut by so many drivers. That's why we see Cody Gibson all the way down in P19 after the pits have cycled out. So something to keep an eye on for driver number 1.
Let's take a look here real quick. Oh, and he's going to overshoot his box. Is Cody Gibson. That is not the right lap there. But Cody Gibson, you see it on this replay here. He's going to come down onto pit road, and he's going to overshoot his box. That's a great call out for the extra 10 seconds, and that is going to be absolutely devastating for Cody Gibson, as he's going to take his sweet time getting down pit road here.
That he is, and what this does is it blows the door wide open for everybody else. Greg Mitchell, our new race leader, Gary Bowman, Andrew Caldwell, just to name a few, are going to benefit from this misfortune for driver number 1. And it doesn't even look like he slides the box, Tom. I think he's just too far to the right. I think he's just too far to the side, and they can't work on the truck, so he's got to reposition. He doesn't notice it right away.
Oh, that's got to be so frustrating for Cody Gibson. And you sit down there and, you say, why aren't they changing my tires? And you look up and you say, oh, okay, well. So, Greg Mitchell has cycled out to the race lead. Cody Gibson has a tall task to overcome from that pit road mistake. Currently running back in 19th place, 21 and a half seconds behind the race leader, Greg Mitchell. But Gary Bowman, Andrew Caldwell, Dustin Ping, Nathan Dufton, your top 5 after that round of green flag pit stops here. So these drivers here, Arie, let's talk some strategy. These drivers here all pitted on like lap number 86. They can go 96, 106, 116. They can go until almost 120. So maybe just another 10 laps or so for these front runners right now. When do you come?
It's a great question, and one thing that I've noticed in Cyber, and I've picked it up from Greg Mitchell actually, because I didn't originally carry this strategy, but for the very final pit stop of the race, especially when the field's really spread out like this, just playing the long game. run it until you're out of fuel, because you never know when a caution's going to come. And in my time here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, that unexpected late race caution is notorious for messing up some strategies. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see a bunch of these drivers say, you know what, let's just run the tank empty, go as far as I can just in case, and then I'll push all out to the end. I tell you what though, Tom, I'm noticing a couple of really big winners from that pit sequence, and I'm looking specifically at drivers 5th through 7th on the board right now. Dufton, Stuyvesant, and Jared Anderson, who is just now going to get passed by Tanner Marr. But those 3 drivers are drivers that I feel like we haven't really talked about this evening, who are now solidly up in the top 10 following a good first stint, a good green flag pit sequence, and drivers who are definitely capitalizing on a long run like this.
You know, and it's not even just tonight, Arie. I mean, Mike Stuyvesant, 3 races, 3 finishes of 25th or worse for that number 20, and I don't think a single one of them has been to the 20s doing. And you can always make the argument, you know, you got to put yourself in the right spot, right place, right time, but sometimes you just can't do that. As Dustin Ping now makes his 2nd pit stop of stage number 3, as expected, a little bit early, came down previously on lap number 76 or 77 for Dustin Ping. But yeah, Mike Stuyvesant, Nathan Dufton also having a great run out here tonight. For these drivers, a very much needed shot in the arm for these drivers.
Absolutely, and you're totally right with Mike Stuyvesant having a very bad start to the season, but not because of his own doing. In every single race, he's been getting some damage on that truck due to those around him. And so Mike Stuyvesant definitely going to benefit from a run like this, as we watch 3 drivers nose to tail getting real close to each other. Brad Holmes trying to aggressively make his way back up through the field here, driving with the 62 and the 09 of Steven Music.
How about Steven having a great run out here tonight? Steven, on the same tire strategy as everybody else out here, quietly has made his way up to 11th place running position. Obviously, there's a couple of cars making their way on and off pit road right now. But on the same tire strategy for Steven Music, having a great run.
He absolutely is. It's good to see these good runs out of Steven Music. I feel like we've been saying his name a lot more in recent times, recent races, so he's been stepping it up a bit, showing some speed, and always good to see drivers kind of find their footing in the truck and you know, around those around them, and kind of climb up the board and increase the level of competition.
Keeping an eye on the race leaders right now as we now approach 25 laps remaining, so well within the fuel window. Now it's just a matter of you see me, I see you, coming down on pit road. Who's the first one of the top 5, or maybe, yeah, who's the first one of the top 5 to jump down on pit road here, Arie? If you're Tanner Marr,
I think it's Greg Mitchell, and I think it's Greg Mitchell right now, Tom, diving down onto pit road with Gary Bowman in tow, electing to come down at the same exact time. Great timing, Tom, on that question. Caldwell from 3rd comes down. Dufton from 4th comes down. Stuyvesant comes down. Jurgen comes down. The whole field's about ready to pit at this point.
All right, so now it is cycled around to the top 3, top 4, top 5, top 6, 7, yet to come down on pit road. But expected, assuming no issues for these race leaders on pit road. Looks like everybody's in solid. Expected race leaders on the exit of this pit road. Don't count out that 81. Dustin Ping came down, what, about 3 laps ago? He may cycle out to be the race leader.
He may very well. The short gap between these guys coming down and when Dustin came down probably benefits the 81. If they went a little bit longer, they'd have a bigger pace delta to kind of overcome that and get around the 81. So Dustin's going to fight for everything he's got. He always does. That's how he races. He's always at 100%. And this could work out pretty well for the 81. It's fascinating that he is on the strategy he is, because it gives us about 3 different strategies to keep track of instead of the usual 2.
And you see the difference between Dustin Ping and Greg Mitchell. Greg Mitchell a little bit at the start-finish line right now. You could see just barely his dot. So Greg Mitchell having a great pit road exit. Great pit road, because you got to think he came down almost even with Gary Bowman, and Dustin Ping is with Gary right now.
That's right. Greg Mitchell's total pit lane time is showing a 43.75. and that is 2 seconds faster than Dustin and 1 second faster than Gary Bowman. So Greg Mitchell, fantastic final pit stop, presumably final pit stop for the evening, as we see Gary Bowman putting the pressure on Dustin Ping in the 81, trying to take over that spot.
But back up here to the race leaders, we're going to see 20 laps to go next time by from Las Vegas Motor Speedway from the Roll the Bones 200, race sponsored by Andy Cork out here in this Cyber Thunder Racing League Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. Tanner Marr, Chris Mackey, Brad Holmes, Steven Music, Michael Dunn, Jackie Brannon. Your top 14 cars, all the way down to Eric Anderson, have yet to pit. We do expect one more green flag pit stop from them, but right now a caution for these guys would be absolutely perfect.
That's just what I was thinking. I've come around on the strategy. I really like the position these drivers are in. The Tanner Marr, the Chris Mackey, the Brad Holmes of the world, staying out when these guys weren't in the top 2, the top 3. They weren't looking at a win. They're putting themselves in the position right now to where if we get a caution, they have that tire set. They're ready to go get that tire set and be faster than all those other drivers who have been on the quote-unquote normal strategy. So it's a really good strategy, and it could work out quite well.
A couple of drivers coming down on pit road from the top half of the field. Chris Mackey, Brad Holmes, Steven Music, Jackie Brandon, Chris Lutz coming on pit road. So now the top 2 drivers, Michael Dunn, Tanner Marr, have yet to make their round of green flag pit stops here, as Tanner's going to stay out at least one additional lap here as he's dealing with some lap traffic of Lee Campbell. And is that Cody Gibson perhaps in front of him?
That it is.
It might be. It looks like him.
Sure enough. That is driver number 1 who led much of the early part of this race. Cody Gibson back on the lead lap, and not for long, going to go a lap down, I should say, and running in the 10th position.
So probably expect to see Tanner come down onto pit road in the next lap or 2. He's going to stay out at least another lap this time by. Michael Dunn is in second, Leroy Koblenz in third, Rick Thompson, Corey Sherman. The first driver on tires here, and could be the battle for the race win, is between Greg Mitchell and Gary Bowman. The top 7 drivers staying out. Let's take a quick look at where Gary Bowman is in comparison to Greg Mitchell there. See about half a straightaway there, but Michael Dunn coming down onto pit road.
That he is. We're seeing a couple more drivers starting to lose out, trying to go for the strategy of stretching it all the way. And don't forget, Tom, we had a couple drivers who got real close to your projected lap count for making the one stop work. I think we're going to see a non-zero number of drivers who by the end of the race are running out of fuel because they committed fully to the one stop, and we'll see whether or not it works. It nearly did last week in Nashville. It was about 100 to 200 feet away from working, so it's very possible. And I love the different strategies all come into play right now.
Well, the drivers that have run the longest, Rick Thompson, Corey Sherman, Brad Collins, they all came down on lap number 97. We anticipated anywhere between 30 to 35 laps. At best, that's going to put them 3 laps short. Let's go on board here with Rick Thompson and see if Rick is saving any fuel. We'll ride with him down into turn number 1. See if we hear him cutting the truck off as he goes into turn 1. And you heard him cut it off there just a little bit. But the problem that they have, Arie, is that they don't have the same luxury that a driver like Lee Campbell had last week. They don't have a 15-second lead on the driver that they're racing. Right now, they're racing Greg Mitchell. Greg Mitchell is only 4 seconds behind him. They don't have the luxury that Lee did last week.
They don't have the luxury, but Tanner Marr has the luxury right now, and I'm riding on board as Tanner Marr on my end at the moment.
Tanner came down on lap 95. I will be publicly wrong. There is no way Tanner goes 40
No, I don't think there is, because I'm not hearing him cut it off going into the corners, which tells me Tanner is just running for a yellow and hoping for the best there, but not confident that he can actually stretch the distance. I'm seeing the same thing out of Leroy Koblenz in second. of these race leaders, Corey Sherman, Rick Thompson, they came down on lap 97. Corey Sherman is cutting it off on corner entry, as is Rick Thompson. So these two drivers are going for it, but they don't have that gap to Greg Mitchell, like you pointed out. Greg Mitchell should get there.
Yeah, Greg Mitchell is only 2 seconds behind these guys. I mean, take a look at the last lap times for these drivers: 32, 32, 32, 62. And then you go down to Greg. He's running about a second a lap faster. With 11 laps to go, you and I both know I'm not very good at math, but I can tell you that that math does not add up.
No, it doesn't. And Greg Mitchell is just about to the back end of Rick Thompson in the 76. It's going to be the first domino to fall, and the second, of course, being Corey Sherman just up the road. We know that the other two, Tanner Marr, Leroy Koblenz, cannot make it on fuel. So it's just a matter of, do we get that surprise yellow?
Greg Mitchell makes his way around Rick Thompson, finisher, second place finisher last week. Last week in Nashville is the 76 of Rick Thompson. But the interesting part about this, Arie, is we now approach 10 laps to go. Leroy Koblenz, let's take a look and see if Leroy is doing anything, because Leroy came down last on pit road at lap number 95, so he's on the same strategy as yeah, I mean, you see the lap there, the lap 95, lap 97. That's the last time that these drivers were on pit road. As Tanner Marr, ooh, looks like Tanner Marr may have just had a moment as we clicked over to him, but
I tell you what, Tom, Leroy Koblenz has fallen off the pace quite a bit. Corey Sherman has passed him up for second place. I was under the impression Leroy was just going to push all out, hoping for a caution, but he's been caught by the 3 and now the 55 of Greg Mitchell. Corey Sherman trying to run away from the front bumper of the 55, try to give himself the best possible chance, but desperation mode is kicking in, and if that caution doesn't come soon, it's not looking too good.
well, let's take a look at this. I don't know if you're going to be able to read this. I certainly can't. But our pit stop strategy length out here tonight, you see Leroy Koblenz currently on a 31 lap run, Tanner Marr currently on a 32 lap run, Greg Mitchell only on 16 laps. So Tanner Marr, Corey Sherman, both of these drivers on the upper end of the threshold of what we expect them to be able to run. But we only got 7 laps to go. This may be starting to fall into effect here.
It very well could, and don't look now, Tom, but I do believe Gary Bowman is closing the gap to Greg Mitchell slowly but surely. I want to say that Gary Bowman has been just kind of chipping away at it, not letting Greg get too far ahead, and that is a pretty significant gap to try and make up. But if Greg Mitchell gets held up by a driver like Corey Sherman, that's going to be perfect for Gary Bowman to have an opportunity. And Corey Sherman is known to fight pretty hard. Is he going to give Greg Mitchell a hard time? You can only do so much on those old tires and just make Greg Mitchell go the long way around, but Gary Bowman's in the frame.
Now, if you're Corey Sherman right there, Arie, does that help you? Does that hurt you? I mean, obviously you had to use a little bit more throttle than what you've been using, or is it worth, like with 5 laps to go, how do you see that?
I think if you're Corey Sherman, you're in the boat where you're not going to win this race unless we get a surprise yellow and you have the opportunity for those tires that you presumably have. But if you're Corey Sherman in this case, you want to be tucked right up behind somebody. You want to ensure the fact that you can make it to the finish line, and wherever you might fall, you'll fall. But get up in there, get that draft, and make the most out of it.
Leader Tanner Marr on pit road as Greg Mitchell is going to take the race lead once this cycles through. Greg Mitchell passing Tanner Marr on pit road, Leroy Koblenz on pit road. Corey Sherman stays out another lap, so 4 laps to go for the number 3 truck out here in tonight's Roll the Bones 200. And Greg Mitchell, battle for the race lead and what will be the race win. Gary Bowman only about a half a second behind Greg Mitchell here.
Only about a half a second behind, and Wow, what a tale of two halves of a race as we see Cody Gibson getting ready to go a lap down here to race leader Greg Mitchell, and what could have been for Gibson. But Greg Mitchell is now staring down 3 laps to go. He's got about half a second gap back to Gary Bowman, a little bit more than that. Got to work through some lap traffic right here.
He caught Amanda Sherman on a really bad corner exit there. That's a pretty big gain for Gary Bowman right there. We're going to see the timing and scoring come across this time by. I don't think Greg was able to use the entire track on the exit of turn number 2 this time by, lap number 132, as we've got 2 laps to go. Gary Bowman almost just about half a tenth faster. Don't know if that's going to be enough, Arie.
I don't think it is, especially considering he's just going to be facing more and more dirty air, and then getting there and making the pass are 2 different things. But he's putting himself in a good enough position to where all it takes is a slip up from driver 55, and I can't even hardly say that with a straight face because it is Greg Mitchell we're talking about here. But I feel like Gary Bowman's done just about everything he could do. He's run a very good final stage of the race, but white flag is in the air and Greg Mitchell's taking it.
White flag is back out once again from the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Greg Mitchell tries to hold on with just over half a second lead over Gary Bowman down into the backstretch. Greg Mitchell looking for race win number 2 of the season. He won at Homestead, trying to roll the dice, and he rolls the dice and picks up a win at Las Vegas.
Second win of the season. First multi-winner is Greg Mitchell. Just ahead of Gary Bowman across the line, Andrew Caldwell. And how about this, Tom? Rick Thompson, Corey Sherman on the fuel strategy, finishing 4th and 6th at the end of it. It worked out pretty well for those 2.
That was quite impressive. I didn't think there was any way that Corey Sherman could have possibly run that many laps on fuel, but great run out here tonight. I think stage 3 went caution free all around.
That it did, and that's what you like to see, get all those strategies playing out and converging at the end. We were wondering about how that race was going to go for Dustin Ping with that off strategy. Dustin Ping finished in 5th place, Tom, so it all worked out. It all came together, and it was really fun to watch.
It certainly was, as Greg Mitchell begins his victory donuts out here tonight for win number 2 of the season. Homestead, Las Vegas, extending his points lead after tonight's race. Let's step away for just a moment. We're going to get your top 3 finishers up here ready to go, and we'll be back with your top 3. All right, back at it here. First of the 3 podium finishers out here tonight. Andrew Caldwell comes home in a 3rd place run out here tonight. Andrew, we were watching, you were watching everybody else, but looked like it was a lot of 3 wide, 4 wide, and maybe even at times closer battles out there tonight. How was your evening of 134 laps?
I went pretty well. I qualified further back than I wanted to, but made my way up through the stages, got some good stage points, and followed the race strategy at the end to get top 3.
Well, you certainly did. You came down around lap 95, 97, and you're coming home in a position number 3 out here. Next week, Andrew, we're going to a track that Cyber hasn't raced at in a long, long time. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Magic Mile. Then we got our first road course of the season at Sonoma Raceway, followed by some other fun tracks coming up. Where do we expect to see this 46 finally break through and get a win on this season?
I'm trying to find that out myself still. I've never actually ran New Hampshire. I ran about 5 laps there in a official and got wrecked out. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll be missing Sonoma to go to the Charlotte Roval race weekend. But hopefully I'll come back from that swinging and find myself a victory lane.
Well, nice. Have a wonderful time down there at the Roval. It should be the Oval. But Andrew, we're going to open up the floor for anybody you want to thank on the side of that number 46 Toyota Tundra. The floor is all yours.
First off, I want to thank Andy Cork for sponsoring the race here tonight. I want to thank you guys up in the booth for broadcasting for us. And as always, I want to thank Mom, Dad, and my sister.
All right, well, kicking Andrew out of here after a solid podium finish out here tonight. Congratulations on a second place run, Andrew Caldwell, and well, I think Arie's got the second place finisher, Bowman.
That I do. Driver of the number 8 coming up runner-up tonight in Las Vegas. You had a shot towards the end there, Gary. You were starting to reel in. Greg, you just kind of struggling with that lap traffic. Walk us through that final third stage. It was all green, no cautions. You really had to go out there and keep those tires on, but more importantly, nail those pit stops.
Right. Yeah, I was watching the lap trucks and I was trying to time it so I wouldn't catch them in a bad spot, like coming off of the 4 and 2. But yeah, I was able to run Greg down a little bit. We were talking, and I thought maybe he was managing his tires a little bit, but he said he wasn't. So I guess I was just a touch bit faster than him, but I just couldn't get to him. It was a good race, though.
That it was. We saw all sorts of different strategies kind of converging towards the end there. I think we counted about 3 different confirmed strategies, and by the end of it, everyone kind of fell as they did. But was there at any point where you were considering the one-stop strategy in that final stage to stretch it out, like drivers like Rick Thompson, Corey Sherman?
Well, I did a full fuel run in practice and then threw 2 tires on with like 5 gallons, and man, I was super loose. So that wasn't going to work for me, because I was thinking of running it out the first 2 and just making like a 10-lap run on 2 tires, because I didn't even think about saving fuel, because I've done that before and it's not fun. So
it is always more fun to be on the attack. Well, Gary, we're going into a track that Cyber has very little history at previously in New Hampshire, a flat track, and a very unique challenge. How do you feel about going into New Hampshire next week with the momentum you've started the season with?
Well, I'm going to be doing a lot of practicing this week, because actually New Hampshire is not one of my favorite tracks, but I will make it my favorite by the time I'm done practicing. So.
Oh, that's what we like to hear. All right. Well, congratulations on a second place run, Gary. I'm going to open up the floor to you. Any shout outs, thank yous, and what have you for a job well done tonight?
Hey, I got to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, and of course you guys y'all for doing such a great broadcast. And I think Andy Cork sponsored the race this week, so thank him for the sponsorship. And that's about it. Yeah, looking forward to next week. Thanks again, guys. Girl.
All right. Congratulations again, Gary. There is your runner-up finish tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, driver of the number 8. And with that, I do believe that Tom is caught up with race winner Greg Mitchell.
We do finally have our race winner up here tonight. Driver out of Austin, Texas. First repeat winner of the season is that race at cockpits.com. Number 55 of Greg Mitchell. Greg, Tom, and Arie up here. How are you?
What's up? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I'm a little better now than I was 20 minutes ago. That was stressful.
Well, I tell you where there is no stress, and that's up in the booth. We were watching about 3 different strategy. Arie's was talking to Gary just a minute ago. A whole lot of different fuel games. Wasn't necessarily out of the question for some of those drivers on a one-stop strategy on stage number 3. Corey Sherman came home in 6th, but you guys came home with the checkered flag out here tonight, Greg. I mean, how was your? You only had 4 sets of tires out here, is what I'm trying to get to. So that posed a difficult question. When do you pit, and how did you make that decision to run long and come down on 110?
I had kind of worked out the math beforehand, and it felt like making that last stage, that last run a two stopper is what I'm trying to say there. I'm having trouble with my own words here, but yeah, I was a little nervous because we had a bit of a little caution fest early, so being one of the first to stop was a little nerve wracking because I knew I was going to be a lap down for a good chunk of that. So I decided to stick to the game plan and hope it all work out, and got lucky and a caution didn't come out late. So.
Well, it did. You came in as the points leader out here tonight. You came in as the points leader, and you're going to be extending your points lead. Greg, as we go through the regular season here, we're gonna start talking about something called a Scrambler Series once the playoffs do start. How do you feel about your overall chances for a championship, very far into the future at the end of the season?
I mean, I feel like I can be in the mix for sure. There's some guys who have picked up some speed this season, though. That's for sure. I'd say Gary stands out. He's running really well every week. Cody's been fast in the 2 races that he's ran. I mean, those 2 guys are just right there every single time. Dustin's always fast. Caldwell's always fast. So I mean, there's just a handful of guys that are always up there. So anything can happen. I really enjoy racing those guys. They're all super clean and fun, and so honestly, I mean, it's anybody's game. So I think it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the Scrambler Series poses a great unknown. You think every super speedway race is an unknown. Well, that's what the Scrambler Series provides. But hey, Greg, second win of the season. You won Homestead. You won Las Vegas. We're going to open up the floor for you. Anybody you want to thank, say hello to on the side of that number 55. Chevy Silverado, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, well, thank you to Andy Cork for sponsoring us tonight. Thanks to you guys as always up in the booth. And thanks to my dad. I had some pressure this week because he represented the 55 last Thursday, so I had to represent the 55 this week. So shout out to my dad. He had a blast last week, so I was glad he was able to come out and run and see what we put ourselves through every week.
When I said that some drivers could probably benefit from having their better halves, and in your case, your dad run the points race out here tonight, I also did mean you, based on some of the past performances. But Greg, congratulations on a win out here tonight, second of the season, first repeat winner, and we will catch up with you shortly.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Arie, that was a whole lot of fun race that we just had out here tonight. Race number 4 concluded and out of the way. Next week we go to the Magic Mile, a track that a lot of drivers are very unfamiliar with here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League.
That's right, Tom, and I'm really excited for the challenge presented next week, a track that we haven't seen in Cyber for quite a while, and we've heard from these drivers. We've heard firsthand that these drivers are unfamiliar with the track. They don't like the track. It's going to be a really unique challenge. I think we're going to see a couple of things. We're going to see the drivers who are the most adaptable shine next Tuesday in New Hampshire, but we're also going to see the drivers who are really putting in the time throughout the week, practicing their craft, getting faster, working on what they need to work on, and just kind of figuring out this truck and all of its little quirks. So I think next week's going to be a real telling tale for the rest of the season, the bulk of the season. This is going to be the first real challenge for these drivers this season to really see what they're made of.
Well, as the drivers begin to make their way out of Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we're going to take a look at your rundown from the Roll the Bones 200 race, sponsored again by Andy Cork. Again, thank you, Andy, for picking up tonight's race. Greg Mitchell, Gary Bowman, Andrew Caldwell, your podium finishers that we just spoke to, followed by Rick Thompson and Dustin Ping. Had a daring, but well, it paid off pit strategy there. Corey Sherman on fuel comes home in 6th place, followed by Nathan Dufton, Brad Collins, and Ed Jurgen, and Chris Mackey, your top 10. And 11th place, looking forward, Jared Anderson, Mike Stiverson. Mike has the best run of his season out here tonight so far. Brad Holmes finishes 13th on the board. Tanner Marr, after trying to run the fuel out, comes home in 14th place, followed by Michael Dunn in 15th. Eric Anderson and Andy Cork, a pair of Graybeard Racing drivers, 16th and 17th, followed by Steven Music, Chris Rose, and David Gainforth is the top 20.
Apologies for that. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. In 21st, Brian Dorsey, driver of the 9, ahead of Lee Campbell. Coming home in 22nd, we got Amanda Sherman in the War Wagon in 23rd by the end of it. Cody Gibson, who won both of the first 2 stages, looked unbeatable early in this race, winds up in 24th, 1 lap down. Unfortunate for Cody Gibson, but he's got the speed. He'll bounce back. We've got Chris Letts, aka Jackie Brown, in 25th, ahead of Leroy Koblenz in 26th. Matt Semple, an unusual kind of finish for driver 16 all the way down in 27th, ahead of Dwayne Young in the 48. 29th is Logan Spencer, and rounding out the top 30 is Mr. Fred Thompson.
And 2 drivers that had issues out here tonight. Casey Tomlinson, who was fastest for a bit in opening practice. Casey Tomlinson finishes 31st on the board, 15 laps down, and Larry Bell has mechanical issues and finished tonight's race behind the wall in that number 055 Kings Motorsports Chevy Silverado, your field of 32 drivers from Las Vegas.
Well, Tom, there we have it, and I'm looking forward to next week. New Hampshire is going to be a fun challenge. Las Vegas was great. The strategies were awesome, and this has been a season to remember already.
It already has, and we're only 4 races into it. Hey, we will see you here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Arie and I will be live again tomorrow night. Where are we racing tomorrow night? Is it Bristol?
I think it's Bristol under the lights. We're gonna go short track racing. It's gonna be chaos, and somebody's gonna walk away with the highly illustrious Bristol Night Race winner title.
Well, somebody's gonna walk away with the sword out of there. But driver number 55, Greg Mitchell, he's got a date with the Showgirls out here on the Las Vegas Strip after tonight's race. But congratulations once again to Greg Mitchell. Thank you always for checking into the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. If you enjoyed tonight's race, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, that like button, click that bell. Get notified every time we go live here. We will see you tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern.